That's why we have ZapRite here today to do a little talk. So I will go ahead and hand it over to Jon and Nick from ZapRite.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Better?
Yep.
That working? All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I figured that because it's like small, intimate group, there's no point in me like talking here for like 30 minutes nonstop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a demo, but just stop me anytime if you got questions about any feature or anything I'm clicking on, or any questions about how anything works, or even if I'm not covering something, just interject and let me know. But what I'll do is I'll go over like just the whole demo of the app and go through everything that we've got and the different features and stuff. And then afterwards, Nick will do a nice little demo of some really cool new stuff that we're about to release. Okay, so I'll give a small little quick backstory on why I created ZapRite. Was because I was a freelance graphic designer, web designer, getting paid in Bitcoin, and I needed an invoicing platform to do that and to get paid properly. And so the idea was to create a platform that didn't really exist before, and so that's where ZapRite was born out of. And so, yeah, so basically we're non-custodial is the real main thing here. So we don't require any full KYC or anything like that, just an email address to sign up, and that's it. And you're pretty much like launched straight in. Once you launch in, this is what you see. You're on your dashboard. And you just got a quick summary up the top, and then, recent orders, transactions, all that kind of stuff, which I'll go through later. So to start off with, like, one of the first things you're going to want to do when you create an account is connect a wallet. And as you can see, we've got like a ton of stuff here. Everything from a Bitcoin XPub to an LNBits or just straight up LND node, liquid as well. Then we've got like custodial solutions like Strike, IBEX, Zebedee, things like that. And then there's a bunch of fiat payments as well, Stripe and Square. And then we also have this WooCommerce connection, which is pretty recent, which allows you to hook up to any WooCommerce store and basically use ZapRite as the checkout. So you have they still use your WooCommerce cart, and they build all their items in the cart. They get a total, and then when they go to pay, shoots them over to ZapRite. They do the payment, and then it shoots them back, and we notify your WooCommerce about it. So everything stays in your WooCommerce. You're just using ZapRite to take the payment, and that feature of like bouncing out of your own website and going to ZapRite to create a checkout and then back was what inspired the API and webhook stuff, which Nick is going to talk about later, which opens up a whole world of possibilities, which is pretty exciting. But for some of the really easy connections, for example, Strike, that's all big enough. You can see that. Yeah, I'll just disconnect from this now just to show you what it's like. So to connect a Strike account, this is like one of the really simple ones. You basically just hit connect. You put in your Strike handle. If those of you familiar with Strike, it's basically literally just a username or handle you have. And you hit connect, and that's it. You're connected, which is like really, really cool that it's that simple. And then we can actually just ping Strike and say, give us an invoice for $10 for this user. And then we show the QR code, and it goes straight into your Strike account, which is pretty cool.
So all these connections are just to connect your wallet, right?
Connect your wallet or your node, or your fiat payments as well, whether it's a Square business account or Stripe Connect. We use Stripe Connect to connect directly to your Stripe account, and Square to connect directly to your Square account. Okay. So yeah, you can connect.
What about IBEX? Is that what would be the use case for the integration there?
So basically, if you didn't want to connect your own node to manage your own liquidity, you could use IBEX, because IBEX will obviously manage all the liquidity for you. Now they are custodial, so they hold the funds for 24 hours, and then they do a withdrawal every 24 hours to your wallet. But if you didn't want to connect your own LND and manage all your own channels and liquidity and everything, you would just use somebody like IBEX or Strike or any of the custodial ones. Yeah.
Excellent.
And the Bitcoin connection that's for any wallet. Basically, it's just an XPub. So that XPub could be from a software hot wallet running. It could be like Samurai, it could be Wasabi, or it could be any hardware wallet, Cold Card, Ledger, Trezor, like whatever it is. Basically, any XPub at all will work here.
It's almost like a watch on the wallet, because at that point you can actually go to the mempool to see like how much money is at Bitcoin address, and look at the transactions and all that.
Yeah, and so the idea is like sometimes you'll hear Bitcoiners say like don't give out your XPub, you're like losing privacy and stuff like that, because anyone who has your XPub can look at all of your addresses indefinitely into the future and can constantly and look forward. Yeah, exactly. And can constantly see, they can basically generate all the addresses and then see everything that's coming into that wallet.
Right.
But the idea being that if you're using ZapRite, we already know about your transactions, right? We're recording every transaction. So even if you were to say, I'm not giving you my XPub, I'm just going to generate an address each time and give it to you for every invoice. It's just, you're just creating more work for yourself because we know about all these transactions anyway. So we basically just say, look, create a brand new account with a brand new wallet, whether it's Wasabi or Ledger or Trezor or whatever, just hit new account and then give us that XPub and don't use that for anything else other than ZapRite. And then you can just set it and forget it. You don't have to worry about it. And you're not really leaking any privacy because we know about everything that's going on in that XPub anyway, in that account. And so basically all you're doing is you're connecting. I'll go through a connection here actually as well, just to show you what this would look like. So the first time you connect, it basically asks you for a label. And so we just just call it whatever we want. And then the XPub is, we will grab a demo XPub here. And you'll notice when I paste it in, an address down here where it says awaiting XPub, we'll derive the first address. And then we're going to ask you to confirm the last 6 characters so that you basically know that we're deriving the correct addresses. Okay. So if I come up here and I paste in the XPub, you can see it's generated this address down here minus the last 6 characters. So we basically just want to validate that, like make sure that you've done that. So you would go into your wallet and you'd see the first address and you'd grab the last 6 characters and you'd put it in. And then you just hit OK. And then what we do at that point is we basically derive 100 addresses. First 100 from index 0 to index 99, and we show them all there. And the reason we do that is you can then actually see those addresses and see which ones that we're using as you generate invoices and payment links and things. You can actually have a little bit of confidence that we're correctly deriving the addresses and using the correct ones. So if you create a checkout and you hit it, you might not see index 0 because we actually have this feature that we're about to push live, which I don't know how technical everybody in this room is, but I'll give like a kind of brief overview. Normal Bitcoin wallets have a gap limit of 20. And the gap limit basically just means that when you open up a wallet for the first time, or you put an XPub into a wallet or put your seed into a wallet, it will scan in batches of 20 to see if there's any transactions there. And if it goes 0 to 19 and it doesn't see any transactions, it'll stop and it'll say this is an empty wallet. Or if it goes up to index 56 and doesn't see any in the next 20 afterwards, it'll stop and say, all right, that's it. There's no more there. I don't need to keep scanning. Yeah, and because it's
a... had a heart attack where you open your wallet and you're like, shoot, I had more money in there than I thought. It's because your wallet didn't scan ahead to future addresses. It might be a bad UX on a wallet, but Sparrow wallet is probably one of the best.
That's what I was going to say. Like Sparrow.
Sparrow's awesome.
Shows you all that in advance, so that you can match up what you're seeing in Sparrow with what you're seeing in ZapRite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's resource intensive for a wallet to be constantly scanning address. So they don't want to do it they don't want to scan for 1,000 addresses and then see. They'll just do it in batches of 20. So if you're a service like ours, we don't want to be hitting index 40 the first time as your address and you get a payment in and then your wallet's not going to see it and you're going to freak out, right? So we have to respect the 20 address gap limit.
Okay.
But we also, because we're providing merchant services, we want to be able to expand the pool of available addresses from that XPub.
You can only sell 20 items, right? We want to sell if you want to sell 60 items,
10,000 items at once,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. If you went viral and you were tickets, you were selling 500 tickets to an event and you went viral and somebody came to your checkout and boom, 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 all of a sudden your gap limit's used up and you're gone.
Yeah.
So our engineer, Tom, another engineer, came up with this great system that solves it really elegantly, where we jump straight to index 19 and we use that as the very first address on a checkout. And if that gets funds, we then jump through to index 39. And if that gets it, we jump ahead to 59. And we have a limit that we set. Now that limit we're probably going to set at maybe like 60 to start off
So
with.
that's how you get to 100? Or?
Well, if we set the limit at 60, we'll use address 19 first, then 39 first, then 59 first. And because you've 19 and 39 have been used, we're not quite at 60 yet, we're at 58,
Right.
because 2 of them have been used, and we want to aim for a pool of available 60. So then we'll go from 59 to 79.
Okay.
So now we have our available of 60 plus minimum of 60. And what we do then is we revert back to index 0, and we start using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to fill in all the previous addresses.
Yeah.
And as they fill up and we get to below 60 again, we'll bump another 20 up, and then we'll go back and we'll start filling in, then we'll bump. So now we end up with this constant kind of expanding. It's like a centipede where it'll just expand out and contract and then expand and contract. So we have a much bigger pool of addresses that we can use. So you're not going to get limited by this 20 address gap limit, but we are respecting the 20 address gap limit at the same time.
Yeah, I can see how that'd be like a horror for UX, you know.
We've already had users contact us when they connect. Sometimes it has happened with a Sparrow wallet. Exodus is another wallet. I don't know. It's like a shitcoin wallet. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but they only scan one address.
Really?
When you hit receive, they show you one Bitcoin address, and then they don't show you anything else or scan anything until you receive funds in that. And so we've had users before where they've received funds in a higher index, and they kind of like, you know, they panic and they reach out to us and they're like, oh, what the hell's going on? So this is why we now show this list here of like 100 addresses, so that you can be sure that like these are the addresses that you can match against your wallet, whether you're using Sparrow or whatever else. And then of course we have these little icons on the right that tells you whether it's used or if it's reserved. If it's being generated on a checkout, it'll be reserved for like a set period of time. And then it'll tell you how long it's reserved for. And then if it doesn't get used, it gets released back into the pool and can be used again.
So it'll be reserved if it's like address 39 or 59, for example.
Well, basically, like whatever the next address is we're going to use, we show that on a checkout. Now, it could be 19 or 39 or 59, or we could have reverted back, and we could be back at the stage now where we're using index 2, say in this example. And then it'll just show up with a little orange icon beside that saying reserved, and it'll give you the timestamp of when it's going to be released back. And so we're constantly in this process of like reserving addresses, releasing them, reserving them. Okay, that one was used, lock it in, now get the next one, reserve it. And it's this constant dance of trying to manage those expobes and available addresses like as best we can without, while all the same time respecting the gap limit. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's just standard expob. Any expob will work in there. And then Stripe and Square they basically work similarly. You're kind of just saying like, you know, yes, you agree, and then you hit connect, and it'll bump you out over to Square, and then you sign in with your account, and then it'll bring you back and you're connected then. And what that allows us to do is it basically gives us card payments through your Square account, your Square merchant account, and then it gives you Apple Pay, Google Pay, Cash App Pay, plus also an ACH, an automated ACH payment through Plaid. It'll pop up with a Plaid payment where somebody can actually connect their bank account and pay your invoice through a little screen that pops up, which is really cool. So yeah, the idea is you're just connecting these payment methods that you want to use is really kind of the first thing. Now, most people will probably set up like a handful of them when they set this up first, and then never really set them up again, unless of course you like, you know, onboard with a new, say, Strike account or IBEX or something. You're like, okay, well, or maybe you want to set up your own voltage node, so you'll connect through LND or something like that, and you'll connect that one.
So you have SEPA for EU, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Albi as well.
Yeah, so Albi is basically just working off a, I'll disconnect that one and show you how that one works, but that's basically just Lightning address. And the reason why that one is, just got a label, and then our Lightning address is ZapRite at get Albi. And the reason why this one is so simple is because obviously Lightning address is really simple. Like you can basically just send to what looks like an email address. But the problem normally with Lightning address is you can't ever tell, if you're a third party like us, we can never tell if that payment has been made. If we show an invoice for, say, your Albi account, and somebody pays it from their Lightning wallet, it goes straight to your Albi account because we're not a middleman. We don't touch the money.
Right.
So we have no way of knowing if that was paid because just by design, like it's
Like, it's
private. Yeah.
It's a database that only you know, that turns out you and your channel partner.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a thing called LNURL verify because Lightning addresses work over LNURL. And there's one thing called LNURL verify, which allows a third party like us to receive a callback and say, yes, that invoice was paid. And then we can actually mark it as paid and stuff. But Albi is actually one of the only ones that use this LNURL verify. There's maybe one other. I don't know of any others. And so we're trying to like reach out to all of these like Lightning address providers and say, look, can you integrate LNURL verify? Like it'll help us out a lot. It'll help our users out a lot. And if we can get that, then we can start onboarding way more people to use Lightning address because it's just extremely simple.
Yeah.
But we need that
It's easy to
verification
remember,
because exactly. Yeah. Because without that verification, we really don't know what's going on with the payment, and we can't mark your invoice as paid, and we can't show it through the transaction. And
when did that come out? LNURL verify? I don't think I've ever heard that.
I mean,
I think it's already been part of the spec for a long time, hasn't it? It's just like
it's like there's like fiat Joff, wrote a lot of the LUD specs if you go to the GitHub. But I mean, it was originally introduced by the LB guys because they needed it.
Okay.
So I mean, it's literally like an issue that like a couple people adopted, and like fiat Joff was arguing back with. But I think he came through to it, and everybody thinks it's a good idea. So it's not like a ratified spec, but I mean, it's called LNURL verify. They implement it like BTC Pay Server has something similar, but they call it like a receipt. There's a receipt address, but it's fairly simple. Like I talked to Keon at Stacker News, he said he would implement it because it makes sense. I mean, we talked to some of the Bolt 12 fans. They have a different way to do it through through the Onion network of ways to notify each other's nodes. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but I mean, LNURL verify should be like the standard, but it's still it's early days. Like you're early in a technology when you're like being the first person to come up with this problem, right? Which it seems like we're the first company coming up with a lot of these problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Verifying payments.
So that's basically the connection side of it. I'll go through the WooCommerce one actually in a little bit, but I'll jump on quickly here to once you have the connections done, you probably want to go to your checkout and set your default checkout. So this is what will be used as your default and as a fallback if you're not using a custom checkout. And you can customize this on any invoice or payment link anytime you want, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But you can basically just say, okay, for Lightning, I'm going to use Strike. So we'll switch that on. Now you can only have one Lightning payment connected because we don't want to show multiple like pay with Lightning buttons. So we only allow one, and this is just telling you like, do you want to replace with Strike? So we'll do that. So now we have Strike on, and for our on-chain, we've got our demo wallet, which I just connected, which is the Xpub. So let's like switch that on for the Bitcoin payments, and then we can leave Stripe on for the card, and we can move these around as well. Like if we didn't want Stripe as the first thing you see, like we can move that down, and we can say let's leave Lightning up top and then Bitcoin next, and Stripe, and so that then just automatically saves. You can see it up here, just saved on the fly as you go. And so invoices, if we want to create an invoice, this is all standard stuff. We can basically like pick one of our pre-saved contacts in there. If you don't have a contact, you can basically just create a new one on the fly. Really, you just need their name. You'd probably want to put in their email as well if you want us to email them out the invoice, but you don't have to.
So using Strike is pretty cool because then you can just auto convert to USD with Strike, right?
You will have to do that in app because we auto settle everything in Bitcoin.
Right.
We just show Bitcoin QR code and it settles in Bitcoin in your Strike account. And so if you wanted to convert that back, you'd have to go into open up your Strike account and do a sell.
You can still do that.
You can still
very easily.
You can still do that very easy. And in fact, Strike has enhanced their API and really expanded out the amount of things that you can do. So we can now, with our partnership with Strike and the API keys that we have, we can actually do that on your behalf. Okay. We just haven't built that into our app, but we could actually build like a little mini UI where you can say like, hey, auto convert 50% of this as soon as it drops. And we could start doing things like that within, like you could configure it within ZapRite. That's just like way down the line, but it is possible now with their API. But certainly, yeah, you can just open the app.
That was great for like get on zero businesses. You know, they're just trying to go all to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
and just convert what they need to pay for expenses.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect for that. Yeah. And so I won't spend too much time on this because this is all just standard invoicing stuff. If you're a business and you're sending invoicing, you know what this is all about. You're basically just creating your line items, unit price, quantity, discount, tax, whatever you want. And then this is where the kind of interesting stuff is. You can just use your default checkout, which is the one that we configured like previously. And if you want like a little preview of that, you can see like Lightning, Bitcoin, and cards. So they're the three things that we set up before, which was Strike, the demo wallet, and the Stripe for card payments. And you get like a kind of a preview of.
So if you go to Lightning, is that?
Well, this one actually joined is just a preview at the moment, but I'll show you what that looks like, and then obviously
I like how it's all uniform, right? Like it looks very clean that way.
Yeah,
it's not like a bunch of different logos, Strike and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the whole idea, was to keep the checkout itself really clean, because underneath you can have all of these different payment methods connected and configured, but like your payer, your customer doesn't really know. They don't need to know that. They don't need to know like pay to Strike.
Right.
Like they don't care. They just need pay to, right? Because it's a Lightning payment. That's all they care about. And so you can actually click in and customize any of that here. The other really cool thing we have as well is you can add a premium to the fiat payments. So you could basically say, well, I'm going to add 10% onto everything, right? So now you can see automatically we've got 10% added on to the Stripe payments. We'll add a feature to be able to add a discount on the Bitcoin stuff if you want as well. But we started with the fiat stuff. That was a big push of Parker's. He was just like, no, we'll charge extra for the dirty fiat. And
I'm getting excited to get this set up on my site just for that feature.
Yeah, and so now if you preview again, you can actually,
because they charge 2.9% plus 30-cent base. So if
Right.
you're selling stickers, I mean, it makes no sense to sell a sticker like a.
Yeah, you want to cover that cost. Yeah. So you can now see when you click on the preview, you can see the like plus 10% there on the card option. So the your payer will see that one like straight away on the checkout, and then if they click it, it will automatically calculate all the additional stuff on there as an extra line item. This here is a cool little feature that we just added recently as well, which is like reserve address from demo wallet. And this is the demo wallet. This is the label we gave it up here, which was the Xprobe that we connected. If we don't reserve an address, when somebody goes to pay this and they load up the checkout and they click pay with Bitcoin, we'll derive an address at that time.
Right.
And then if they don't pay, we'll obviously after reserving it, we'll drop it back in, and then but we're basically deriving the address at the time, which normally is fine. But if this was say a very large amount invoice, let's say you were paying 50 grand, 100 grand or whatever is large to you, and you think I want to make sure that the payer has a little bit of comfort knowing that they're paying to the right address. Right. You can basically click this button that says reserve address from demo wallet. And if I switch over here actually to the side-by-side view, you can basically see what that does. You can see it's basically adding this little section here, which shows the Bitcoin address, and it has a little note saying if paying in Bitcoin, make sure this address matches what's shown on the checkout. So when you send that, we'll actually derive the address. We'll attach it in here. We'll show the first 6 and the last 6. And that will be on the invoice, both the public URL and the PDF that gets sent to your customer. So now when they're actually paying it and they click pay with Bitcoin, we'll pull that exact same address that you have reserved and attached to that invoice. So now it's like a second source of truth that they can look at their PDF and go, oh yeah, that's the first 6 and last 6. It's the same thing I'm seeing on the checkout. And so it's like a little bit of an extra kind of comfort to them to know that they're going to be paying to the correct address that's on the PDF. Yeah.
Right. Could that be helpful for any type of injection scripting attacks or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it would solve for, and which is really exactly what this feature was built for, was to basically stop any kind of injection attacks or clipboard attacks. Yeah, you'd have to watch for that one as well. But that's I'll uncheck that for the moment actually, and we'll just go ahead without it, and I'll show you what it looks like. But yeah, that's pretty much the invoice. So you can actually, I'll show you what the I think it was this one, wasn't it? Yeah. When you hit send, you're going to get two options: email or share. When you hit email, you get this standard box where you can your customer's email is already pre-populated in there, and then you can kind of like add more in there, like whatever you want, up to 5 emails to send out, and you can customize the message. You can send a copy to yourself, and then include the PDF or not include the PDF, and then hit send, and then we'll send out the email that basically says, your business has requested payment on this invoice. The other way to do it is to just simply share. And when you click share, we basically just give you the two URLs that you would need. One of them is the hosted invoice URL, and the other one is the checkout. They both link back and forth to each other, so it doesn't really matter which one you share, but I'll show you what the hosted invoice one will look like. So this is basically when your customer gets an email, this is what they see. They basically land on this page, which is a publicly hosted web page, but it's like a kind of hard to guess URL, so it's not, they won't just find it by landing on it. And then they'll see all the information obviously there, like similar to the preview that we were looking at here when we created the invoice. And so they can download the PDF here, and when they do that, you basically see standard PDF layout here with all of the same stuff on it, but cool thing down the bottom as well is we have this actually linked to the order to pay it and the QR code as well, so someone can like pull out their phone, scan that QR code, and it'll take them to the payment page if they want to do that on mobile.
Yeah, it's great you have both those methods there. I think that's very helpful.
And you can brand it to like your company. So
yeah, actually, I should show you what the branding looks like as well, actually. That's a good idea. So now, I'll do that now, actually, so you can see the change. So this is just standard branding, and we're in the ZapRite demo account, so everything is kind of like, we're labeled as ZapRite, that's our company. But if we went to the settings page and profile, we can basically, let's replace this image and do like some demo content, I think, marketing, where is it? It's demo. So we can call this, let's say we had some Bitcoin events, let's call ourselves Bitcoin Events Co. or Round Rock Bitcoiners, yeah. So now that's saved on that. I think this will update. I don't think we have to create a new, yeah, there we go. So now you can see that it's fully branded. So you could have that with the Round Rock Bitcoiners logo, color scheme, everything. And so now you're basically fully branded on this page. And then when you click pay invoice, and of course the PDF is the same. PDF will have all your brand colors and logos and everything as well. And so now when you're paying this invoice, obviously everything you can see here is branded as well, has all your colors and stuff.
So they actually use your colors.
And you can see your 10% on your card and your Bitcoin and your Lightning. And so if we do the Lightning, essentially what's happening.
$100 Lightning invoice.
So if you have like multiple brand colors in your logo, is it just pick one or?
Yeah, you just have to pick one. You'd basically have to, like, because we just have a standard color picker here that lets you pick one. So you'd have to kind of pick whatever your main brand color is. Yeah. And so I clicked on pay with Lightning here. And so what we're doing, because we have our Strike account, we basically hit the Strike API and said, give us an invoice for $100 for this particular account. So if that was your Round Rock Bitcoiners account or whatever it might be, this invoice would be generated specifically for your account. And then when that's paid, obviously it just gets deposited straight into your Strike account. We don't touch it at all. Like, we're not a money transmitter or anything like that. It goes straight into your account. And that would be the same if this was your Umbral or your Start9 or anything like that. Yeah, you don't want to pay that. It's $100. Like,
little 1 or 2 penny ones.
I should do another one just so we can actually see a payment and show what it looks like. Let me go back and edit that, and let's see what happens. I don't think I can edit this one, actually. That's a feature where we have locked out. So let me close that one. I'll do it for a payment link, actually. Yeah. So let me go back and create a payment link, and then we can see. So payment links, if you think of invoices like one-to-one, payment link is like one to many. You're basically creating a product that, like a ticket or a t-shirt or whatever it is you want to sell, that like multiple people can buy the same thing over and over.
Right.
Whereas an invoice is like, once it gets paid, nobody else can pay it ever again. Yeah. So if we were doing this, we'll create, I'll create a donation form actually, just to show you, well, I'll show you what it looks like on both, but let's say this was I'll start to do like, or a event ticket, right? Let's just say that's what we're selling right now. We've got, it's for like these Bitcoiner events. And then, we can put a description in there. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Let's say the price is $21. Required fulfillment basically just means you need to ship something out. And so if you check this box, we won't mark the order as complete until you come back in and mark it as complete. So we'll mark it as paid, and then you can actually take the customer's address, ship the book or whatever it is, t-shirt out. Yeah. Then you'll have to come back in and you can mark it as, exactly. But for this one, let's say you wanted somebody's name and email. Right? Let's say they're coming to an event and you're like, I want your name and an email or whatever. Okay. So you'd add those on. And again, we're just going to use the default checkout. Like, that's fine. They're required, but we are going to change this like very shortly. Probably in the next week or two, we'll have a change updated, pushed through, which makes them optional. Yeah.
Some people may not want to put their full name, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we figured if you wanted to do this, you were probably going to like require it. And then we had a few customers reach out and say like, well, no, we kind of want it optional. So we'll put that in for sure. And then you can just disable notifications to yourself if you don't want to get an email for every single sale that you get. And then again, this is like a little preview of what you'll see. So if we hit save, so now this is your payment link here. And so what you've got is your URL here. This is your public hosted URL of your payment link. So you can just share that with everybody and they can go and buy these tickets over and over and over again, right? You get embed code, which is really cool that you can actually add. Yeah.
So these are used over and over and over, right? When somebody pays it, they get their own unique receipt as well.
They get their own unique receipt and everything. Yeah. And we'll pay this one. We'll do it. I'll switch it over to a donation so you can see how it works. The donations work, and then we'll do a donation. You'll see it's the exact same process. Okay. But you got embed code here as well, so you can change that to reserve now, whatever it might be. Corners, maybe the style of your website is square corners, so you don't have round it. Sure. And obviously this is taking your brand color and stuff as well. But you have this HTML and you can copy this HTML and drop it onto like a Wix or WordPress or any website ever, and it'll basically take you over. And then the other thing is print. If you are at an event, let's say you're like Jimmy Song or Parker and you're selling books and you're sitting at like a table like this selling books at a conference, you might print this code and have it like sitting on your table or hanging out, and people that come up can actually scan this and pay and then like take a book, right? Yeah. So you can actually have this QR code ready and waiting for them because it's a reusable QR code. So we're just giving you like multiple ways to share this, but
this is awesome.
So this is what the payment link looks like on the checkout, and you can see it's very similar to an invoice. We have the left-hand side, which has the kind of summary and details, and then the right-hand side. In this case, we've asked for a name and email. So basically, we would just do, you just fill that out with whatever you want, click through, and then now you have your checkout, your standard checkout. And that information that we entered in gets saved onto the order information in the back end, and you will have that come through with the order, and you can see that as well. Okay. As you go through. So let's go back into payment links. We'll create a new payment link and we'll call this donations. I'll add I'll add a different image. There we go, just to differentiate it a little bit. And in this case, we're not going to add a price. We're going to click customer chooses what to pay. And so you can see the price gets grayed out and a couple of other things. And I won't tick any of these on, but maybe if you were taking a donation, you might click, email or something, because maybe you want to give like tax receipts or something like that if you were doing emails, right? So let's just leave that, hit save. Again, you get your URL. And so again, you can see this is a donation form. it's saying 0 because the user has to enter the amount. So we come over here and we just say like, all right, I want to donate $1. So you hit continue, Lightning, and then this one, I'll pay this.
Who's got it?
Who's quickest on the draw? Who can pay it? Who can
I
pay
don't
$1?
know, $1. I should have made it 3 cents or 1 penny.
Dollars. It's not a bear. It's not a bear market. Well, let me go back then and do. Let's see.
0.03.
Okay, like 0.1. 10 cent. 10 cent. The beauty of lightning. There we go.
Who's gonna win? Got it.
It's a donation, so you can donate this forever.
Yeah.
But the lightning invoice is okay for one.
There you go. Now, boom. So you can see your payment came through. And so you can actually see there, like you paid 152 sats, the
I love the experience. Too.
USD price, and it was Lightning. And so like these are collapsible amounts, because what you can actually do is, it probably won't work in a donation form, but maybe there might be a situation where it happens. But like if there's under or over payments, we'll actually prompt the user like, hey, you underpaid, you need to pay more, and we'll show another QR code. And then, so these payments here like might stack up
Sure.
and show. So then let's say this is you've made your donation, you want to click on download receipt. And so there we go. You get your fully branded color, logo, everything. Again, we've got like your order number, what it was for, donation, the amount, status, and then we've got timestamp. It was paid over Lightning and all the details there, like, 152 sats and USD rate and everything. So you get that receipt, and then obviously on the ZapRite side, we can now see on this payment link an order is popped up underneath. We can see recent orders here, right? And we can see that that order. And so we got the order details here. Now, if you were asking for name, email, shipping address, whatever, like they would show up on this page as well. And then we've got all the transactions related to this order. So here we can see the Lightning payment. And if we click through, we get a whole bunch more information about that transaction as well. So really you get like a full, huge amount of info about everything that's going on, whether it's like an order, a transaction, and every bit of information you need on that. And then of course, in transactions, you've got all of these listed here as well. And you can filter by, customer, by status, by dates.
CSV here.
Yeah, exactly. Go down the bottom here, and you've got download CSV.
Cool.
So basically you can download that, and the CSV has much more information than we're looking at here on this table. It has like about 20 columns of like everything that you could possibly need. And so you've got all of the information that you need here to do accounting and everything else. Okay. And then obviously in your orders tab, you get like a list of all your orders and everything that have come through. I'll do a really quick Woo demo. That's not going to be part of your demo. You're going to do something else. So let me do a really quick. So woo.zaprite.dev. Yeah, this is the site.
Yeah, I'll probably set this up on a plane ride tomorrow.
Yeah, it's super simple.
I'm almost there. I just haven't gone the last steps.
So basically in plugins, we have a ZapRite gateway. So this is the official WordPress directory store. So we got our plugin accepted there a couple of weeks ago. So you can see it's there. And it's also, if you go into add new, standard way that you would be adding a plugin to WordPress. And then you can even search up here, ZapRite.
You search Bitcoin, we're like on page 11. So we're not,
Oh, really?
We need more downloads and more reviews. So like, yeah.
I'll make sure to leave a review then.
Yeah. So you can see we've already got this installed, so it's not giving us an install button, but that's how you would add it and you would install it.
Okay.
And we got one review there. Nice, 5 stars.
I wonder what would happen if I tried to install this alongside the BC paid plugin that I already have.
It'll work fine, but basically what you're going to do is when you install it, you go into the settings and into the payments tab.
Yep.
And you'll have it listed here. Like you already probably have BTC Pay listed here. You'll have ZapRite alongside it.
Yep.
So you can either, I mean, you could probably have both of them running,
Okay.
and it'll just show on the checkout, and the payer will have to choose which one they want.
Yeah.
But realistically, like you probably don't need both. Like you just pick one. So in this case, we've
It's
got.
probably going to be easier for accounting purposes too.
Yeah, I mean that's the idea. Is you kind of have like you could use everything through ZapRite, and then you get the fiat payments side by side with the Bitcoin, and then all of your order information, everything is there as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot easier. So when you're setting this up, you basically just this will be enabled by default. You can change the payment method name here to be like anything. You could say like pay with Bitcoin or whatever it is.
Okay. It
just defaults to ZapRite. You can't change the powered by ZapRite, but
Sure.
you can decide if you want to show the image or not show the image on the checkout.
Okay.
And then the API key, that will be blank when you first load it up. And so what you need to do is you need to come back into ZapRite here and hit connect. And then you say, right, what's the, it would be woo.zaprite.dev and then woo demo store. And I agree to be connecting, and then you basically got to choose the checkout that you want to use for this store. So again, we're fine with these three. Let's just leave them on. Like that's okay. And then you hit OK. And so now it's giving us an API key here. And so we take this API key and we bring it over to wherever it was in my tab. There we go. We drop it in here and we hit Save Changes. Now, hopefully this all works. I did have it connected to another site, but it should be okay.
Is that it?
That's it. That's the setup. Should be complete. It's very easy. So then we have this demo store here set up, and so let's say I want to buy like one of these Fix the Money, Fix the World desktop wallpapers. I add it to the cart. Right click save. The value's in the inscription. So you can see here then that we've got our item in the card, and then we proceed to checkout, enter your email address, and we can see, and then so this is what it looks like. It's ZapRite with the icon powered by ZapRite. You can decide to remove the icon. You can change ZapRite to say pay with Bitcoin, whatever. But this is essentially what it will look like. And then when we place order, fingers crossed this didn't break the setup. So again, we're going back over to our site, and you can see now that we've got our branded checkout that we had set up previously.
Yep.
It's not showing the card setup, the card option here on this checkout, because Stripe actually has a minimum of 50 cents. And you can't use it. So we actually automatically detect that and pull it off so it doesn't cause any errors. But again, let's say you want to pay this one in Lightning. Nick is going to pay this one.
Got it. I got it. Maybe. Oh, you can actually zoom on the Strike app. Nice. Yeah, you can actually zoom on Strike. I got it.
Okay, there we go. Boom. So order complete, and you can see now it's redirecting.
Yeah, you can zoom.
And it basically redirects us back over to the WooCommerce store. And we get this, thank you, your order has been fulfilled. And then I can basically download the wallpaper here. Fix the money, fix the world. So now that's it. That's my digital download, paywalled by WooCommerce. And I right click and save and send it around. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, like that's how simple it was to set up a WooCommerce connection. You're literally just picking your checkout in ZapRite and grabbing your API key, dropping it into the settings here in ZapRite, and then in your WooCommerce setup, and then
If you have
you're
Stripe
literally good
already
to
set
go.
up on your site, then you need to, or in WooCommerce, then it should show up automatically in.
Well,
You
basically,
need to.
You can turn on as many payment methods as you want. So
Yeah.
if you had Stripe, it'd be just another click. So
Yeah.
you essentially could turn on.
But you have to
all-
connect it first, right? Like,
if you had Stripe connected on your ZapRite, okay, here.
that's what I'm wondering. I have to connect it here.
You'd have to connect it in ZapRite first.
Yeah.
If you've already got it connected in your WooCommerce, you'll
Then
need
you
to switch that one off and not
Switch
use
that
it.
one off
Yeah,
and then turn it on here.
and then turn it on here and then add it to your checkouts because you want it all under one.
Right,
Otherwise, you would end up basically with
disjointed looking. Yeah.
well, you'd basically end up with let me see, like add to cart. and then view cards, checkout. If you left it set up in WooCommerce, what you'd end up here is you'd have this ZapRite option, and then you'd have another one above it saying Stripe.
Right.
And then your user would choose which one they want in WooCommerce.
Okay.
But the idea here is that you would remove everything else and just leave ZapRite. And then you'd configure your checkout there and send them over and back.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much everything in ZapRite. We do have like really cool features that we just added. The Teams feature where you can actually invite users in.
Okay.
So if you have multiple people in your company that you want to give access to,
right?
yeah, like an accountant or a co-founder or another business partner or whatever you wanted to give access to, you can invite them in. We just have like full admin access at the moment, but we will be adding like multiple like editor, viewer, or like view only, read only, stuff like that in the future. But that's really cool.
Is there any fees for that, or is it just?
It's $5 per. It's free now. We're giving it free for like the next 3 or 4 months or something, and then we've announced that we will start adding on to the monthly subscription. It'll be $5 per additional user, and then the billing side of it, it's $25 per month, or $240 if you pay annually for the annually. So, and we will be adding premiums onto the fiat side of that soon as well. We're not doing it yet, but we will be doing it. So we want to incentivize people to pay annually with Bitcoin.
Yeah,
that will be really your cheapest option to get the best value out of ZapRite. You'll be able to pull it down to like $20 a month if you pay annually over Bitcoin. Otherwise, you could end up paying. If you're paying fiat monthly, you'll end up paying $360 a year. So you really want to like pay in Bitcoin. That's the billing. Company, you just got some like, random information if you want to add in that or not add it in. It depends how private you want to be. But and then the really cool thing that we're about to launch, which I'll send it over to Nick now in a second, is the API and webhook stuff. And yeah, I'll let Nick talk about all this because he's got like a really cool demo of what you can actually do with webhooks and API keys. Right now, to use ZapRite, you're kind of locked into either using like logging into our web app and creating an invoice or creating a payment link and doing it all within the web app and sending those links out and sharing them, or doing the WooCommerce integration like we just did and doing it through these specific plugins that we have. The API and webhook stuff obviously opens that up to everybody. You can literally basically just like start generating checkouts on the fly through the API, and then the webhooks like give you responses, and then like I said, Nick will go through a whole bunch of stuff on really cool stuff that opens up.
Quick question before Nick switches. Is there a voltage integration going on?
There is. We are working very closely with Voltage, and we're actually onboarding a few users right now who are setting up Voltage. You can set up Voltage right now very easily by just doing your LND.
Right.
So basically, all we need, I think this actually might be a Voltage. Yeah. So this is actually ZapRite's Voltage
There's
Spearnet
a blog post
URL.
on Voltage's website on how to do it.
Cool.
And then invoice, macaroon, read only. Like they're the only two things, and they're very simple to get those copy paste from your Voltage dashboard. You drop them in, and then we basically do everything through LND. But we will be doing a much deeper Voltage integration where you'll actually be able to, spin up nodes and manage liquidity and do everything from like, hopefully like by an integration with like Amboss using like Hydro and Magma and stuff like that. So you can do a lot more automated liquidity management. But yeah, as of now, it works great with Voltage. Yeah, it works perfect. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, perfect.
Rock on.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
I'll be quick, probably 5 to 6 minutes, because John talked a lot. John covered everything. He covered the.
Hopefully I didn't bore too many people, but
No, that's good. So that's the future state of ZapRite. I'm going to kind of show what's coming. Oh, does somebody want to mute?
can I just hang up on this?
Yes.
Mute. Testing. Echo. No echo. Okay, cool. All right, one more thing. I gotta make sure my sound is on because this is part of my demo. Okay, just wait for that. It's part of my demo. You'll see. You'll see. You'll see. Yeah, so John showed you the existing state of ZapRite. I'm going to show you basically how you can extend it, like he was alluding with the API. How many people out here run their own nodes? You guys run an Umbrel node? Do you run a Start 9? All right, cool. That's good. So essentially, we love self-hosters, right? Obviously, we have all those L&D integrations. We have all of that good stuff. And I'm going to show you how this all links together. So if you use Umbrel, there's this really, really cool app called N8N. It's a workflow tool. So if you're not familiar with this tool, you are with Zapier. But it's like if this, then that. So if somebody pays an order in ZapRite, then I want to do something, right? So maybe you're selling T-shirts. Maybe you have a drop shipping company you use. Maybe it's some local company here in Round Rock. Maybe they have a website or some custom API that ZapRite doesn't know about. Obviously, we're not going to have a connection for that. A tool like this will enable you to connect to anything. You know, another use case is potentially you want to write all your tax information to QuickBooks. You know, we don't have a tight integration right now. You have to download a CSV and maybe do 30 minutes worth of work. So this is kind of a sly way with webhooks to do a QuickBooks integration without ZapRite having to write the code. So I'm going to show you that. And then I'll show you what the little Spotify thing was. So anyways, so what I did here was I created, this is actually running on my Umbrel node. So that webhook.nickT.me, that's actually my server running at home, like under my desk, like in my closet, you know, like Ben Carmen always joked about. I used another plugin in Umbrel called Cloudflare Tunnels, and that's how I was able to get that public IP address. I mean, go down that rabbit hole. It's super cool once you start learning how to expose these websites to the internet when it's actually running at home. So it's really powerful. But TLDR is I have this webhook on the left, and this comes from ZapRite. I'll show you how I configure that in a second. But what happens is when an order gets paid in ZapRite, I actually fire off these three workflows, these three if this, then that. So if an order is paid in ZapRite, I play a song on Spotify, I send a message to Slack that there was an order created, and then I write that information to QuickBooks. So let me actually do that. I'll show you how I configure it, and then we'll do a demo. So within ZapRite under settings API, we have these two settings. One is for API key. I'm not going to go over that. That's, you know, if you run your own service, you can create orders programmatically. The feature I'm going to go through right now is this webhook. So what you do within N8N is I go to the webhook. This is all baked into this workflow tool, and they give you this URL here. I'm not nuck.local or umbrel.loco. Don't worry too much about that. It's actually this public IP address, but I'm going to copy the URL from my Umbrel node at home, and I'm going to paste that into ZapRite. So that's this webhook.nickT. This is literally just a unique identifier to call that. So what happens is when an order is paid, it's going to call this endpoint with the data, and then it's going to kick off those other tasks. So let's pretend like I'm Parker Lewis. I'm selling my Gradually Then Suddenly book for a whole 3 cents. I have a bunch of stuff wired up, but if somebody, you want to pay I know you've been wanting to pay an invoice, a 3-cent invoice, Kelvin. Let's go. All right, let's see if this demo works.
Parker's book for 3 cents, bargain.
It's a bargain.
Absolute
Bargain. Don't tell Parker I'm selling his book for 3 cents. Okay, so when this gets paid, something should happen if everything's working properly. Remember this song? Yeah, so it hit my workflow, and the first thing it did was actually, you can see the run that just happened right here at 18 after. This is the results of that. It hit the webhook with the data, and on the left side of this is actually the raw data showing the order number, the amount was 3 cents. So that's the input data. And then it called Spotify, which I literally just had it hit play on my Spotify playlist. It went to Slack and it sent a message. So if I pull up in Slack over here, we should see that there's a message. Boom. So it has the order number, the amounts, and then a checkout URL. And the third thing it did was it actually wrote the information to QuickBooks. So this is actually probably super useful. Yeah, this is probably so let me go to my QuickBooks Online account here. I don't quite know how to use QuickBooks Online yet. This is just a sandbox account. So I might actually talk to you and how to do this better. Do you know how to use? Okay, so all right, Julie, we might have to talk to you. Don't make fun of me because I don't know how to use it. So I put everything under the sales tab here. So let me refresh it. And I just literally wrote this invoice out here. So you can see customer Parker Lewis paid 3 cents. So it's not quite the right place that it's probably supposed to be, but it just proves that you can extend ZapRite with this webhook thing in ways that we don't, me or John or Tom or Parker, we didn't have to write the code or imagine this stuff. It's
so I've used ZapRite to do that. So
yeah.
So like lookup, you can ZapRite get lookup as
Yep.
customer already exists if not created, and then enter the invoice and monthly screen.
Exactly. So it's like if this, then that, then do that. Yeah, I mean that was pretty much my demo. So